Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Malcolm and Marie, which came out on Netflix this past weekend, stars John David Washington and Zendaya, written and directed by Sam Levinson, and is the first major movie to be made during the COVID-19 pandemic. The movie follows a young couple, and John David Washington plays a film director who had just got back from the premiere of his movie with his girlfriend, who used to be an actress, played by Zendaya. And the movie is essentially about the two of them at their luxurious and probably ridiculously overpriced house as they argue about pretty petty stuff, I gotta say, if I'm gonna be totally honest. And that's pretty much the whole movie. That is the entire hour and 45 minutes of Malcolm and Marie. And depending on how you feel about what I just told you, this movie will either be your thing or it's not gonna be your thing. And for me, it really kind of falls in the middle. There's a lot to admire about this movie. For one, the fact that they actually managed to make this movie during the COVID-19 pandemic with such a minimal cast, just two people, a small crew, and they filmed it over the course of a month, is pretty impressive. And even though it's a major Netflix film featuring two up-and-coming actors, because it's such a small-scale film at the same time, the filmmaking process is actually a little more creative. There's a lot of very unique camera work going around in this movie. It's beautifully shot. The cinematography is fantastic, and I feel like this movie probably wouldn't have been as interesting if it was in color. There's something about it being in black and white that just kind of feels right at home for this type of movie. Both John David Washington and Zendaya are really good. John David Washington has definitely proved himself several times, even though his character in Tenet was quite boring. This is probably his best performance to date. And as for Zendaya, she's fantastic as well. When it comes to the arguments that these two people get into, they feel very realistic. And a lot of the time, it feels like Zendaya is in control of these arguments. And when it first starts out, I thought, okay, this is really interesting. These two feel very real. There's some great dialogue, and there are a couple lines from each of these actors that honestly made me laugh. Probably more from John David Washington, because a lot of the things that he's complaining about come across as so petty that it's just kind of hard to not laugh at him. But he manages to make them work because John David Washington, in those moments, is over the top, but in a more realistic manner. Like I mentioned earlier in this review, the entire movie consists of these two actors arguing with each other. And at first it's pretty interesting, but after the third argument, you're just like, guys, it's late. You've indicated that it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Just shut up and go to bed already, because y'all are really just dragging this on for longer than it needs to be. And by that, I mean the couple in their arguments and the movie itself. Because the movie really consists of these two people arguing about really petty things, I feel like the movie just overstayed its welcome. There's no reason for this to be almost 2 hours long. Like an hour, sure, it would work in that sense. And to be honest, I think this actually would have worked better as a stage play. This would be perfect if I saw it at the Hollywood Fringe Festival and was like, okay, it's a minimalist play, but you've got two really great performances here and some really good dialogue. I liked it. But for it being an almost 2 hour long movie, it really was longer than it needed to be. So on that sense, I am going to say watch at your own risk, but more on the higher end of watch at your own risk. If you know you're gonna like this movie, then there's nothing that I've said in this review that's negative that will stop you. You're probably going to enjoy it, but if you know for sure that this is not gonna be your movie, then this is not going to be your movie. I've heard some people say that this is more like a student film than anything, and not to put down student films at all, but I feel like calling this a student film might be a little too harsh. When it comes to student films, and I've experienced this firsthand by helping make them and starring in them, you get a lot of inexperience. Not to say that anyone's bad, but it's more like you're learning the filmmaking process as you go along. With this movie, it's very, very well made and clearly made by somebody who knows what they're doing. I just think the fault lies more within the script than the actual filmmaking. And that's why I ultimately think it's better to compare this to a stage play rather than a student film. But at the end of the day, you really need to know if this is going to be the movie for you. If it is, it is. If it's not, then that's too bad. But there's nothing about this movie I would say is bad. It's just more of your personal preference. And there you go, that's my review for Malcolm and Marie. I hope you enjoyed it. And now I want to hear what you guys have to say. Whatever your thoughts are on the movie, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hey everyone, I just want to thank you all for watching my review for Malcolm and Marie. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share me with your friends. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go check out my Twitch channel and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day, take care of yourselves.